Romeox back in another video. Hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Especially if you, the person watching, hasn't already, as it would be greatly appreciated to both I and the people who, well, watch the channel. But with that being said, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, not only, but also check out my second channel down below where I also post what-ifs, as well as discussion videos, mainly based off of One Piece, Naruto, and Dragon Ball, but some other, content sprinkled in between. And with that being said, share the video to our friend likes what-ifs, just anime content in general, as I want to hit 14K by the end of the year, and I feel as if I can only do that with you guys' support. And we can now get into the recap. In the last part, we basically ended off with, Naruto making quick work of Orochimaru. I shouldn't say quick, but making work of him, as Hiruzen suspects that Orochimaru isn't actually dead. But with that being said, they would continue throughout the forest, and they would actually win. But maybe you don't understand what I mean by that. They would actually have higher scores than even Itachi, as they just passed Gaara. Gaara would still beat Itachi's record as well, but it was something I did want to mention. With that out of the way, the preliminaries would kick off, like I explained in the last part, and all the matches would go to the same except for 2 or so matches. Now, with that being said, let's get into it. Now, the first match that is going to change is, well, pretty simple. Naruto versus Neji, and we're going to get into that, and now we can fully begin the video. From the minute the fight started, tension would be within the air. Neji looked down upon Naruto as he saw him as scum, and utter scum at that. Why, you may be asking? Well, for the reasons that he had in canon, but this time he would be looking up, his nose to Naruto's hair. Not really, but I think you know what I mean. They were kind of like on the same, I guess you could say, link. By that I basically mean that he was looking up so that his nose was as tall as Naruto's hair is my point. Maybe that makes sense, maybe it doesn't. It's really not too important. With that being said, Neji had another reason to hate Naruto. Naruto had been able to progress much faster than him in the ninja system, because maybe you heard this, maybe you caught this, or maybe not, but Naruto was actually able to progress to even Chunin, while Neji was stuck at Genin. Now, with that being said, Neji was also a year above Naruto, at least class-wise, so it was even more of a, I guess you could say, slap to the face, so to speak. And another thing that he hated was that his, cousin/sister, whatever you want to call them, I'll just call them sister and brother because they're kind of like that, kind of not, but his semi-sister/cousin, Hinata Hyuga, was obsessed with Naruto, and he had actually came to figure this out because, well, he just had, and he kind of hated it. Hinata was his cousin, not Naruto's. Hinata should have looked at Neji as that person, though in my opinion, Neji's ideals, at least in this timeline, are very convoluted since, well, he does nothing for her to look at him as, that good big brother, or that good big cousin, whatever you want to call it. Now, with that being said, Naruto and Neji would then have their fated duel. Immediately, Naruto would pull out 2 kunai. He was going to test the wits of a Hyuga. He had, in actuality, never ever fought a Hyuga, so this was going to be a great experience for him to have. He would immediately rush towards Neji, both kunai in hand, as I explained before. He would then clash with Neji, but not Neji himself, rather his rotation. Naruto's kunai would then continue to clash with the rotation, as it would be a similar thing to how the fight ended with Neji in the canon timeline, where he's basically just clashing with the kunai to the rotation, but neither win this time. Rather, they would both jump back. This would surprise Neji. From what he knows, the rotation should be able to be stopped by a mere kunai, and by somebody with, at least from his view, no special heritage, no special techniques, and things of the sort. Of course, we do know that Naruto's an Uzumaki. With that being said, Naruto would then continue to push Neji, as he would then pull out a variety of jutsu. These jutsu would basically stump Neji at every turn, as Naruto would continue his onslaught. Hit after hit, jutsu after jutsu, kunai after kunai, shuriken after shuriken, etc., etc. I think you guys can get where I'm going with this. Naruto was besting Neji in every way possible. Neji would then realize this, as he would have an inner dialogue with himself. Could I really lose to a boy like Naruto? Could Naruto truly beat me? He thought to himself. So he would launch an effort, or I guess you could say an attack even. Currently, Naruto stood only 2 meters in front of him. Pretty close, might I add. And maybe or maybe not, you saw this coming, but he would use the legendary 8 trigrams, 64 palms. Neji would then rush towards Naruto as he would tell Naruto that he's in range. Naruto would scratch his head, but little did he know the movement of him pulling up his arm was merely going to be his downfall. Not saying that Naruto's going to lose this, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. With that being said, Neji would then hit Naruto with his 8 trigon 64 palms. He would then yellow 2, 4, 6, 8, 12. Then he would jump to 24 and 36, then 48, then 54, and then even 62. Now, with that being said, he would then yell out 64, as both of his palms would be gathered with chakra, slamming into Naruto's stomach. This wasn't too good for Naruto, as, well, within his stomach was the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, so it wasn't the most pleasant feeling for Kurama. With that being said, Naruto would then stand up, as secretly and unbeknownst to Neji, Naruto was using a special skill known only as the Izanagi. Naruto questioned if he should use this. Would it make sense? Were there other ways, he thought to himself, as the Kyuubi and Naruto would have a conversation. The Kyuubi would tell Naruto that he could have just easily gave Naruto chakra, and Naruto would note this, telling Kurama that he strictly apologizes for not, well, I guess you could say, convening with him first before using the Izanagi. But with that being said, there is no more that he could do. And also, you may be wondering, why would, Kurama question Naruto and, tell him this if, well, it really doesn't concern him right now and he knows Naruto will win anyways? Well, pretty simple. First off, to conserve Naruto's power. And second of all, because he hates when Naruto uses Uchiha-based skills, especially the Sharingan, because maybe or maybe not you know this, but he's been controlled by the Sharingan before, and he just generally does not like the Eye and the users of the Eye. With that being said, Naruto would get through. He would be able to, well, defeat Neji, as he had basically gathered all of his chakra and had been at full strength. Neji had wasted basically all of his chakra with that last attack, thinking that Naruto would be out for the count, as Naruto would just hit him with one left hook, which would leave Naruto out for the count. Now, with that being said, there was another fight that would go different in this Chunin exams, and that is Sasuke versus Gaara. Sasuke would look at Gaara, as he, from experience, was not going to lose. Why, you may be asking? Well, because he is trained much harder, about 2 times harder, in fact. And also why, you may be asking? Because of Naruto. Naruto was actually his main inspiration. He hates how Naruto was just able to do things so easily, at least compared to he and even his female Kunoichi teammate, Sakura Haruna. With that being said, Sasuke would then rush towards Gaara, as Gaara would immediately put sand in front of him. He didn't actually have to do this, but it was just as a precaution. Sasuke had the same eyes as him. With that being said, they don't actually have the same eyes as, well, Sasuke is the Sharingan, but I think you guys get what I'm saying. With that being said, Naruto would then watch as Sasuke would continue rushing towards Gaara, as he would then pull his foot up and out. Basically, he's lifting his foot and, kicking it outwards, so he's basically kicking Gaara, but sand would appear. Sasuke would then rush towards Gaara, as I've been saying that a lot, but I think you guys understand what I mean. He's basically just trying to push Gaara and trying to, see what he's about, so to speak. Basically, he's testing Gaara. Each time Gaara would react, he would send another attack to see if Gaara truly had an unbeatable defense, and, well, maybe even one that couldn't be breached. But it had seemed as if it could. Gaara would then get a quick flashback to his fight with Lee, as for some odd reason, at least to Gaara, Sasuke was using many techniques that were reminiscent of Lee's. Sasuke would then jump up into the air, as he would yell out, "I am an Uchiha, and you are merely just a boy who controls sand. Now who do you think should win this fight?" Gaara would look up into the air, as that was where Sasuke was, as Sasuke would quickly jump to the floor. Not necessarily jump, but fall, I should say. With that being said, he would then do a small roll across the arena, as he would then throw 2 kunai towards Gaara from both edges. This would cause Gaara to focus on 2 other things. One he actually had to focus on, the other his sand had been able to get for him. Sasuke quickly appeared in front of Gaara, charging up a fist, I guess you could say, or pulling one back, as he would then slam it into Gaara's face. This would cause Gaara's head to be dislodged a little, as he would have a bit of a headache, and I shouldn't say a bit, a lot of a headache, a heavy headache, so to speak. With that being said, Gaara would then stand back up. To be defeated would be something that I could never come back from. My pride would be destroyed, Gaara would say. Sasuke would be surprised at what Gaara had said, but it was, well, not too out of character for the person that he had seen Gaara as. Somebody who doesn't lose. Somebody who maybe even has never lost. With that being said, Gaara would then show Sasuke that it was merely just a sand armor that he defeated. We would then kind of see like Gaara's like body go all weird and become sand, as that's kind of what happens with the sand armor. It's hard to explain. I don't really know if I can, well, explain it in words, as it would be too complicated. But with that being said, Sasuke had realized that there was only a few other options he had, as he would do a quadruple backflip onto the arena wall. He would then yell out, "Chidori," as the slight sound of thunder and 1,000 birds chirping would gloss over everybody watching. Sasuke had activated the legendary jutsu, the A-rank jutsu at that, known as the Chidori. And if you want to know a little bit more about the Chidori and maybe even the difference between the Chidori and the Raikiri, check out my second channel down below where I explain the difference. With that being said, it's just a shameless plug. You don't have to go over there, and we can now continue the video. With that being said, also, Sasuke would charge up this attack. This is where Guy would basically explain to, Team 7 and his own team what was actually going on, as they were curious, as, well, Sasuke would rush towards Gaara, jumping off of the tuning exams, I guess you could say, arena wall, as he would rush towards Gaara. He would then hold his, left arm with his right arm, as he would then stab and pierce Gaara's dome. We basically know what happens from here. Gaara starts to bleed. He's very upset by this, as, well, Sasuke would actually be nicked a little on his shoulder and stuff, and it would hurt him, but he would be, generally speaking, fine, besides the depletion of chakra from using the Chidori, as the match would have to be called to the end, or to a end, by the proctor, seeing that Gaara was kind of going berserk. This is where the Feather Illusion Jutsu by Kabuto would basically come into play, as Kabuto would unleash said jutsu. This would then cause the squad that was originally formed with Naruto, Sakura, Shikamaru, Sasuke, etc., you know what I'm talking about, to be formed, to then rush after Gaara and the Sand Trio, or should I just say the Sand Trio, Gaara, Tamari, and Kankuro. With that being said, the events of the canon here would unfold. Basically, what I mean by that is that, well, Shikamaru's gonna stop to, I guess you could say capture the, Sound Ninja and Sand Ninja who were basically attacking him, as Asuma is then going to eventually save him when he can't take care of all of them, and there was actually a Sound Ninja hiding. But with that being said, Conqueror is going to be stopped by Shino, and Tamari is just going to be with Gaara, but Gaara would be stopped by somebody, Uchiha Sasuke, before Naruto had even arrived on the scene. With that being said, Naruto would arrive just as the fight with Tamari and Sasuke would come to a close. As maybe you do remember, maybe you don't, but Sasuke and Tamari did have a little exchange. With that being said, Naruto would arrive on the scene, like I said before, and he would basically fight with Sasuke from the start this time. How did he get there so quick? Well, he's just faster in this timeline. He's stronger, better, smarter, etc., etc. With that being said, Gaara would shift his focus to Sasuke, basically disregarding Naruto, as Naruto would then decide, I guess you could say, to put himself in the way of one of Gaara's attacks. This attack was kind of an attack that we've seen before, known as the sand bullet technique, as Naruto would be, I guess you could say, thwarted with multiple bullets that would hit Naruto, sending him flying. This would signal to Gaara that, well, Naruto was like either dead or unconscious, which would basically cause Gaara to rush towards Sasuke and to basically do some damage, which would happen. Sasuke was kind of getting bodied, and he would realize that he had made a big mistake when he had now been out of chakra. This is where Naruto has now been able to recover from the attack due to his great healing, as he would then kick Gaara, reminiscent in the way that he had in the canon before Gaara could kill Sasuke. At this point, Sakura is not actually tied up. She's just watching. She's just watching the fight unfold and really isn't doing anything about it. She really can't. This is a fight that she has no business in. Of course, she does actually have business in it, but what I mean by that is she has no, I guess you could say, footing in it. She has no hold on it. She can't do anything about it is a better term to put it in. With that being said, Naruto, upon kicking Gaara, would stand on the tree branch that Gaara was basically flying over, jumping over, as he would then crack his knuckles. With that being said, Naruto would then rush towards Gaara, slamming him into the ground and then grabbing him by his tail and sending him upwards. Naruto would then use the jutsu from his ninja handbook, as we have actually seen this jutsu before, but he would use it in a bit of a different way. This time, his kunai would be going upwards, not just like, I don't want to say this, but into Gaara's butt, I guess you could say. With that being said, this did happen in the canon, so I guess it's not that bad, but this time it's just happening upwards instead of on just flat surface, and Gaara is still going to be hit with all those, paper bombs, which is going to cause Gaara's defense to be weakened. Naruto would then realize this, and in this timeline, he would actually be able to make better use of it, as he would then continue his onslaught on Gaara. He would then use a water dragon jutsu on Gaara, which would cause Gaara's sand to kind of become like mucky, like mud in a way. With that being said, Gaara would then take a small amount of sand as he would send it flying towards Naruto. There was actually a certain filler where Gaara had used a similar technique to this, where he was being like hunted by all like these like sand members. I can't actually remember if this was a filler or an actual canon moment, but I believe it was a filler, and like people from the sand, like assassins and stuff, were attacking him because they didn't really want him to be the Kage and wanted to like, just kill him off and stuff. But with that being said, he was able to take a small amount of sand and actually like defeat somebody who was like on the level with it. So that's basically what he's about to do here, but Naruto's actually not going to be defeated. Rather, Naruto would be able to sense this. Like, or maybe like not, Naruto does have a Sharingan, so he can see things at a bit of a different rate than other people. Of course, Sasuke doesn't know this, but that's kind of irrelevant here. With that being said, Naruto would put both of his hands together using his advanced perception to know that this was about to happen, as he would catch the ball of sand. He wouldn't generally catch it, but rather he would stop it. This would cause the attack to, well, be stopped in its tracks, as Naruto would basically just be happy. He'd be happy that he was able to stop the attack dead in its tracks, like I just said. With that being said, Naruto would then continue forward, rushing towards the person in front of him, that being Gaara. Naruto would then look at Gaara as he would tell Gaara that he is ready to end it all. Gaara would laugh as he would remember everything with his past, I guess you could say. How Rasa treated him, everything regarding Yukimaru, and things of the sort. With that being said, Naruto would then scream. This was not a scream of pain, nor was it a scream of anger, but rather he felt trapped. He felt like everybody just relied on him. He felt like he couldn't do something without somebody needing him. He felt like he couldn't save somebody without him questioning why he did it. Why was this, Naruto thought to himself? And it had nothing to do with the Kyuubi. He knew that. The Kyuubi, well, and him made a deal, so it made no real sense. But Naruto didn't know what to do. He, well, to say the least, felt trapped as he would yell out. God, Naruto would yell, as he would then create a ball of chakra. This is not the Rasengan, as, well, Naruto actually doesn't have the Rasengan right now. Rather, this is a completely different attack slash jutsu, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's what you could call an unstable Rasengan, but it doesn't even resemble the Rasengan's chakra. Basically, it is a reddish ball where Naruto relies on the Kyuubi's chakra to create and condense chakra. It's also formed in nature energy, as we do know that some of the Kyuubi's chakra comes from that. And he can absorb the nature energy, so it also does come with a bit of added nature energy, which makes the attack much stronger. Naruto basically just created this while fighting an opponent, and it was very helpful in defeating that opponent, so he decided to use it here to break and defeat Gaara. But unfortunately for Naruto, this was a big mistake. Naruto would slam his Rasengan into Gaara, which would cause Gaara's eyes to roll into the back of his head, and his eyes to then close. And if you watch the Naruto versus Gaara fight, then maybe or maybe not you know what's about to happen. Gaara has now entered the Shukaku, a form in which Gaara takes on, which basically allows him to, well, to say the least, transform into the Shukaku. Shukaku would then scream out, I'm free, he yelled out as he was so happy, if you will. He would then have a small amount of enjoyment as this moment where he was, well, enjoying himself was cut short, as Naruto was in front of him. And since, or maybe not, I kind of didn't really touch upon Naruto actually even meeting Jiraiya, and that's because he never did. He never trained with Jiraiya to learn the summoning jutsu because he already knew it, and he already had his own toad summoning, and he's not summoning it. He doesn't need it, at least not right now. With that being said, Naruto would rather rely on the Kyuubi, strengthening his bond with it, as he would then rush towards the Shukaku, or Shukaku, whatever you want to call it. With that being said, Naruto would then create this ball that he had created before, but this time it was 26 times the size that it had been previously. Now, this is even, you could consider it to be the size of Jiraiya's technique that he used against Pain, where he created this huge, massive Rasengan. With that being said, Naruto would then yell, Odama Ball, as he would slam the attack into the Shukaku, causing Shukaku to be slammed into the ground. Not only that, but then he would create 10 shadow clones, each holding paper bombs, as they would all stab into each part of Shukaku's body, causing his defenses to weaken. As he would jump into the air, pulling back a fist, he would then yell out, Kyuubi's Wrath. This time, the Kyuubi had been in almost complete control, as Naruto had trusted him to get the job done. With that being said, Naruto's body would guide himself to Shukaku, as he would slam Shukaku right in the belly. This would cause Shukaku to cough up air, not blood. Interesting, Naruto thought to himself, as the Shukaku would no longer cease to exist. Why, you may ask? Because Gaara had been woken up. The massive disturbance with Shukaku just, moving around from side to side. Shukaku's a pretty big guy, not to, shame Shukaku or anything, but he's pretty huge. So just shaking around is enough to wake up Gaara, even in his very sleepy state. With that being said, Gaara would now lie on the floor in front of Naruto, and Naruto in this timeline wasn't all beaten up on the floor, crawling, crawling like so slowly. With that being said, Naruto would still talk no jutsu him, you could say. He would say everything that he said, well, in the past, about how Gaara was like what he could have become, but he would also say something else. Me and my tailed beast, well, we've kind of become friends. No, we have become friends. We have a bond like none other. And I truly do believe that you and your tailed beast can eventually obtain something just like me and mine. Do you truly think so, Naruto? Gaara would ask, as Naruto would smirk. He would then have a massive smile on his face. Yes, I truly think that you and your Jinchuriki can just, bond like me and Kurama. Kurama? Who's that? Don't you get it? That's the name of my tailed beast. Now, how about you ask yours? I already know its name. It's known as Shukaku. Well, address it with some more oomph, so to speak. Really? You sound so childish, Naruto. I'm serious. They don't like humans. So, if you, well, warm up to it, then maybe just eventually you'll be able to, become friends. If you address it with more respect, train with its power, try to dabble in it, and not try to hide it. Be more free with its power. Rely on more advanced techniques that drain more chakra, so you get closer and closer to having to rely on it. And maybe then you'll be able to get stronger with it. And with that being said, this is where I'm going to end the part with Naruto closing off his speech. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Check my second channel down below where I also post what ifs. And with that being said, other discussion videos and Rami X. Oh.